after Roki Sasaki is out of the picture, there's a bunch of questions. Do you trade Dylan Cease? Do you trade Luis Ariz to gain some more financial flexibility to make other moves? In those deals, do you get back young, controllable pitching to, be cheap, obviously, and develop those guys? Jurickson Profar, he's still out there. I'm not hearing anything about his market, so could the Padres get him on a little bit of a discount? That would be nice. Ha-Sung Kim, who's going to DH, bench. Donovan Solano signed with the Mariners, I think, for like $3.5 million. Higgy's gone to the Rangers. They signed Maldonado on a minor league deal, but are they going to sign someone on a major league deal? Or are they going to sign another veteran on a minor league deal and have Maldonado and that guy compete with Campy for a starting job? There's a lot of questions here. With the bullpen, I don't think Suarez is going to be traded, but he's another one that's making I think his AAV is $9 million, something like that. I don't think he's going anywhere, but that's another significant salary. I'm not bringing up Bogarts or Cronenworth because they're not going to get traded because I don't see teams taking on those contracts. But yeah, catcher, what's happening there? DH, bench, left field, and the rotation. Right now, it's Cease, and that's right now. He could be traded. Cease, King, and Darvish. No particular order, just those three. And then it's Waldron and Vasquez as 4-5 right now. The Padres don't want Waldron and Vasquez as 4-5. They want one of those guys. Well, they probably don't, actually. They probably want those guys being depth. But based on the situation financially that they're in, it sure seems like one of those guys would be the fifth starter or compete for that, right? And another guy would be in El Paso as like depth. And then they acquire, somehow trade, free agency, a fourth starter. Is it going to be a vet? Is it going to be more of a controllable guy that they trade, Luis Ariz somewhere and they can keep Cease and build that way and then sign someone to replace Luis Ariz there? Shortstop. Is Bogarts going to be at shortstop? What's that infield configuration going to be like? How much money do the Padres have to spend? They have not spent on a major league free agent. They have not acquired any big league player. Tyler Wade doesn't count. He was already on the roster for $900,000. He was already under contract going into this next season. They just agreed to that number. These arbitration guys, that doesn't count. They were already under contract. Martin Maldonado, that's a minor league deal. It could be like David Peralta, and he ends up being, at the big league level for a lot of the year. But right now, he's on a minor league deal. If the Padres believed in him enough, wouldn't they have just given him a major league deal? But they gave him a minor league deal. So, again, I just wondered, are they going to make another addition to create some more competition? Because Luis Camposano, as much as I want him to work out, he's got to show it to me. He's got to be healthy, and then he's got to produce. He's got to be better defensively, I think, behind the plate. So, lots of questions, obviously. And in free agency for the starting rotation, it's not like there's a ton of names out there where I'm like, yeah, that guy and that guy fits because he's going to come super cheap for us. I mean, Max Scherzer, who knows what he has left, but he's not going to come here for $2 million, right? I wouldn't think. So who are these guys? And while they waited for Roki, and maybe I shouldn't even just say waited for Roki, but they just haven't been spending money, and they weren't going to be spending a bunch of money anyway. I understand that, but I was pissed off they didn't bring back Higgy. I thought that was a reasonable deal. You got the whole ownership drama, but even with that, ownership has to allow AJ Preller to go spend money still. So is this the Padres saying, hey, sure, we have a cap, we have guidelines here, or mandates for ownership, but they have some money to spend. I don't know what that amount is, but they have to have been given an amount of money to spend. What is that amount of money? And so the Padres just haven't been able to match up with guys. They're waiting for Profar's market to come down. Are they waiting for other pitchers' markets to come down? And I wonder what that pitching is going to look like in free agency, that pitching market, now that Roki is gone, because what happens now with other teams that were in on him? not even just the Blue Jays, but what about the Cubs? Other teams that met, the Mets, I think they've signed some guys. I think they brought back Shamanaya. But what's going to happen with other teams? The Rangers, I think, were another team that met with Roki Sasaki and didn't land him. I'm looking up right now, unrestricted free agents, starting pitchers, according to Spot Track. And let me make this to all available. So, like, there's Max Scherzer. His previous AAV was 43 mil. I get that was the Mets contract, and he's not going to get that. He may not get 20 million a year. Probably not. Maybe it'll be closer to what Verlander got with the Giants. But the Padres aren't going to pay that. It doesn't seem like they're going to pay that to a starting pitcher. Patrick Corbin, Charlie Morton, he signed with Baltimore, though, so I don't know why he's on there. Jack Flaherty, they don't have the money to spend on Jack Flaherty. So I just, Andrew Heaney, maybe he is an option, left-handed, 33. I think he's age 34 season next year. He made 12.5 mil, though, I think, his AAV with the Rangers coming off this past season. So what is his market going to be? What are the Padres willing to give, like the most amount of money they're willing to give for a free agent starting pitcher? I don't know what that is. Is it 5-6 million? Then that's money that you're taking away from possibly bringing back Jurickson Profar, So lots of questions. This Roki thing, the Padres needed him more than any other. Sure, like the Guardians and other teams like that, sure, that, are lower payroll teams. But the Padres, they really needed Roki Sasaki. Financially, and just based on the lack of depth right now, rotation-wise. Let's remember the Padres, they parted with two of their top prospects, Robbie Snelling and Dylan Lesko, this past season. Yeah, I love having Jason Adam, but who knows? And I know those guys had injury histories, and those not a guarantee to work out. Prospects are prospects. But they just don't, I don't see, and maybe there are other people that follow the system more closely than I do. They would bring up names that, like, no, that guy could, I trust him with the rotation spot, but I'm not seeing those names right now. I think I would know more about him if that was actually like a real possibility. So, yeah, not great. Must be nice to be the Dodgers, though, where I was looking up their depth chart. Let me find it. But it's now loaded with pitchers. I mean, they have starting pitchers that may end up being in the bullpen, like at the bottom of their bullpen to start this next season. Shohei isn't even in this rotation, this projected starting rotation for the Dodgers, but he could come back, I think, this year and pitch. But they've got Blake Snell, they've got Yamamoto, they've got Glass now, Tony Gonsolin. Sasaki is penned in as their fifth starter. Sasaki, if he would have went to the Padres, where would he have been? Maybe the third starter if they would have traded Cease, right? And then eventually we would have wanted him to be the number one starter or number two, if they lock down Michael King or something, right? So I feel like Roki was like, you know what? Dodgers, consistent postseason team, so much talent. I can develop and learn under Shohei and what they've got going there. And I don't have to immediately go be great at the big league level. Maybe I can ease my way in here. So I can understand why Roki did end up signing with the Dodgers. It sucks, but I can't understand it. This is the situation that the Padres are in, the Dodgers are in. Dustin May is their sixth starter right now on Fangraphs. It's a joke. Michael Grove is listed in the bullpen. They've got Kopech, Trinan, Evan Phillips, Anthony Banda, Ryan Brazier, Alex Vesia, and Michael Grove in their bullpen. And again, Shohei is not even in this projected rotation. So, I have the same mindset as going into last year. Like, don't even think about the division. It was cool, the whole triple play thing last year, and they were close, but don't even think about that. Get into the postseason, be playing good baseball at the right time, and then possibly go on a run. But how are you going to be able to play good baseball at the right time and stay in it the whole season with the state of this team right now? And I know that the bright thing is, if you want to look at bright spots here and like try to be optimistic, there's a lot of holes to fill, yes, but Preller did a lot of his work after this date last season or last year. A lot of key guys, whether that was Jason Adam, Tanner Scott, Dylan Cease, Luis Arise, a lot of guys, and that's just the start of the list. A lot of guys that came in after January 17th or whatever, January, after the New Year starts, a lot of new guys came in. Profar ended up signing late, that 1-year deal. Remember that? They didn't really have a firm grasp on what they were going to do with Jackson Merrill. He was in left to start spring, and then he went to center, and then look what happened. There's a lot of things that could happen. Those minor league deals, Martin Maldonado could end up working out, so AJ, he could end up being a better, and we saw it this past year. If we're basing it off this past year, he is a better GM when he has those constraints on him. So I'm definitely not saying Sasaki to the Dodgers is a good thing, because that wasn't about the money, right? This isn't a good thing. But there being constraints, I don't think it's the end of the world. I just wonder, are the constraints more on him this year than last offseason amid this whole ownership thing? But ownership still, like, I think he's still reporting to Eric Kutsenda, Eric Grutner. They had to have given him an amount of money that he could spend. You can't just have your GM and, your GM comes to you and he's like, how much money do I have to spend this offseason? I don't know. We'll see. Well, you're setting your GM up for failure. How can you go about anything if you don't know how much money? So he's been given an amount. We don't know what that amount is. And clearly the Padres are in a waiting game to see what markets go down for what players. And then we'll see if teams say, you know what, I'm tired of waiting for free agency. Let's go trade for some of these Padres players, and the Padres can get back young, controllable guys. So